Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the How to Move to Los Cabos video series. The video series in which I am basically teaching you everything you need to know to be able to make a successful and easy move down to our beautiful Los Cabos, Mexico. On this episode, we're going to be talking about the real estate acquisition process, the closing costs, and a couple of details about the real estate acquisition process down here in Los Cabos, Mexico. My name is Ari Westwood. I was born and raised down here in Los Cabos. I'm a Mexican-American real estate agent and the manager of the Baja Properties Cabos and Lucas office. Baja Properties was the first real estate company down here in Los Cabos, so you can rest assured that all of this information is going to be extremely beneficial for you guys during your move down here to our beautiful Cabo. There's going to be a lot of episodes like this one coming up on the video series, and you're not going to want to miss out on them. So make sure to hit that notification bell and the subscribe button so you can always stay up to date on the videos that we're making for you guys. So let's get to it. What does the real estate acquisition process look like down here in Los Cabos? Well, it turns out that if you're from places like the United States or from Canada, the real estate acquisition process is actually not significantly different from your home countries. The main three things that you're going to want to keep in mind are going to be that the closing time is going to be a little bit on the longer side. The closing costs are going to be a little bit on the higher side. And to be able to own property in some of the most desired regions in the country, such as the coastal areas and Los Cabos in particular, you're most likely going to have to go through a route called a fideicomiso, which is a bank trust. I'm not going to be talking too much about this particular thing, the fideicomiso, on this video, because I made a whole other video describing what it is, why you need it, and some of the history behind it. That should be down in the description below. So, how long does it take to be able to get your property? Once you find your trusted real estate agent, you went out, you looked at some properties, you found that perfect one that you really, really like. You make your offer, it gets accepted, you make your initial deposit. From there, it's going to be about 3 months before that property is actually yours. So you need to be able to keep in mind during your investment timeline that from the moment that your offer gets accepted and you make that initial deposit, it's still going to take about 3 months for it to actually be yours. So keep this in mind. The other thing I mentioned is that the closing costs are going to be a little bit on the higher side. It's usually going to range between 3% to 6% of the final offer price that gets accepted. And the reason why there's actually that range between 3 and 6% is because there are some fixed costs within the closing costs that drop down as the value of the property is higher. So the higher the value of the property, the lower that closing cost percentage is going to be. A safe rule of thumb is to basically consider that once your offer price gets accepted, your closing costs are usually going to be about 5% over that price. So keep this in your budget. Another important thing to mention about the closing costs down here in Los Cabos is that basically these are always paid by the buying side. So don't expect contribution from the selling side at all, or don't expect a lot of contribution from them. That's just basically the way that the market operates down here. The next topic on our video is going to be escrow companies. Just like in the US and in Canada, escrow companies are here to keep this transaction safe and happy for everybody. So if an agent ever tells you, hey man, don't worry, you don't need an escrow company down here, run. That's a bad sign. You need an escrow company. Again, this is to keep everybody nice and safe during the transaction. Usually, your trusted real estate agent or broker is going to be recommending who you should be working. There are a few escrow companies that most of the trusted agents down here use either way. And one thing that brings a lot of first-time investors extra trust about this process is that a lot of these escrow companies are actually based out of the United States. So for people that are a little bit on the fence about investing down here in Mexico for the first time, if you have your funds in an American bank account, during that entire closing process, your funds are going to be sitting in a escrow account that's up in the United States. So the funds haven't even hit Mexico. It's not dangerous if funds are in Mexico, but for people that are still doing that first investment, this gives them that extra level of trust that sometimes they need. So that's another thing to keep in mind. You're probably thinking, Ari, what's going on? I'm gonna need to figure out what are gonna be my closing costs, and I'm gonna need to figure out who's gonna be my escrow company, who's gonna be handling all this stuff. And the answer is that you don't really need to worry about that, because your closing attorneys and your closing office is going to be taking care of that. Once we figure out the property that you want, buyers get to choose the closing office and their closing attorneys they're gonna use for the transaction. As trusted real estate agents and brokers, we will be able to recommend you to use the ones that we usually do most of our transactions with, that make the process speedy and nice and safe. So as soon as you make that initial deposit, your closing attorney is going to start requesting certain documentation, such as your passport. They're going to request a proof of address up in the United States or in Canada, or whatever your home country is. And they're going to be requesting a marriage certificate if it's applicable. And they're going to be requesting a KYC format, a know your customer or know your client format. This is actually a very important document to be filled out appropriately for brokerages and the closing attorneys for us to meet compliance with the anti-money laundering regulations that we have down here in Mexico. So these are some of the documentation that are going to be requested from you once the process starts. Finally, we're going to be talking about the soft close option. As I mentioned, the closing process down here usually takes 3 months, but I hear it all the time out here on the marina. Ari, I love this place. I want to move down here immediately, and I don't want to wait that 3 months. Is there anything that we can do to speed up the process? And the answer is that yes, you can do a soft close. During a soft close, what happens is that you make a significantly larger initial deposit into that escrow account, and you're able to take possession of the property before closing actually is done. The property is still under the name of the seller, but you're able to take and start using that property before the closing is actually done. Most of the time, I suggest if you have a timeline that allows you to do this, wait out the 3 months. It makes the process significantly easier for everybody, just because of things such as changing utilities and paying HOAs and those kind of things. Also with people that are ready to start building, because the licensed construction would come out on the seller's name. So these are all little details of why, if you can wait, please wait the 3 months that the normal closing goes. But if you want to actually take possession of the property right away, you can do it, and it's safe as long as your real estate attorneys, your real estate agents and your real estate attorneys, your closing attorneys, have already reviewed all the documentation. They know that there's not going to be any harm, any issues with the closing. It's just going to take the 3 months that it usually takes. If they checked out all the documentation and they give you the go-ahead, it's safe. Go ahead and move into the property. So there you go. That's all you need to know, pretty much. That's what the closing, the real estate acquisition process looks like down here in Los Cabos. We've talked a bit about the closing cost as well. And there will be a lot more videos like this one coming up on the video series, as I mentioned. So make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the videos that are coming up. They're going to be really good, and we're doing them for you guys. And if you have any particular questions for me, if you want any more videos that are talking about a particular thing, feel free to comment below. We're checking out those comments to make more videos for you guys. And if you're ready to move and make that next step forward and start looking at properties and you want me to help you out, also message me. My information is down in the description below. And I'm super excited for the day when you guys are finally down here enjoying Los Cabos, and I'm finally giving you the keys to that beautiful home or condo that you really, really want. Hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it for you guys, and I look forward to the next episode together. Have a great day.